Good evening. We are live. It's Dan and my co-host Nicole.
Hi
Welcome
there.
everybody to the Positive Power Hour. Look forward to seeing those comments from people letting us know they're there and what's going on today. Just to
Monday,
give you a little
Monday.
update on myself. Oh, say hi, Nicole. Say hi to
Hi,
everybody.
everybody. Monday, Monday. Welcome to the Power Hour.
Yeah, welcome. And yes. And I wanted to tell everybody, because everybody that's on the live call are friends. Hi, Melly. There she is. And I went to my surgeon today for my 5-year cancer checkup, and everything went perfect. In fact, he said, if you don't want to come in anymore, you don't need to. He says, but it's up to you. I said, well, I'd rather leave it up to you because you're the expert, and what the heck do I know, right? But he said, yeah, let's do it for a few more years, but really, you're in great shape. So that's good news.
Awesome.
That's a great way to start the Monday positive hour for me anyway.
In great
So
shape for your age, right?
yeah, well, yeah, there's that, right?
Yes, yes,
Yay,
yes.
says Melinda. Yes. So what's new with everybody? How about, did anybody get to see 7 Seconds yet on Netflix? No? All
I've
right.
been a
Well,
tad busy.
we'll see what the crowd has to say about that. And yes, Melinda says, yay.
Yay, cancer free.
Yes.
It's the way to
Yes.
be.
Yes. I was sharing with the doctor about how, I told people that asked me about it. I said, well, they said, well, what's the prognosis? And I said, well, if we caught it early, problem solved. And if we caught it late, problem solved. Because there's only two solutions to that thing, right? Either can cut it out and have it go away, or you can't cut it out and it don't go away, and then you go away. So that's the only two alternatives for that cancer, which I'm very grateful and I'm very blessed that I got to go through that with such a positive journey. And I must say that I personally believe that a lot of the reason that I got to go through that as well as I did was having a positive attitude and not being afraid of dying. In fact, when she just finished the Jeffrey Dahmer series. Wow.
Good thing you got through that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a very interesting situation, wasn't it, Melly, with Jeffrey Dahmer? And again, the story that I had about that was when that happened, and we were doing the workshop, and everybody was aghast as to what that guy did, and George's response was, "Yeah, well, we all have minds, and left unattended, we're all capable of that and worse, right?" So it was intense. Yeah, I'm sure it was. It was. Do you remember when it happened, Melinda, or was it just watching the movie that caught you up on it? So yes, left unattended, our minds can take us to places where you can't imagine going. And it's been no, I was just born. Well, there's that. I guess that would keep you from having known about it before, right? It's American history. Yes, it definitely is. No doubt about that. It's an amazing story, and we've had very strange sick people in our history. Is that happens, and we don't know what causes people to be like that. What makes their mind go so far off track, right? But gosh, to me, it's a great reminder for us to pay attention. Do we know who our Facebook user is there?
Hello, Facebook
Hello. Whoever you are, we love you and we're glad you're here.
That's right. Doesn't matter. We're glad
Yes.
you're here.
Yes. It's Kim.
That's Kim.
That's Kim. Oh, Kimmy.
No, I don't think it's Kimmy.
Not that Kim.
Oh, Kimberlyn. Yeah.
I was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
There's not many Kimberlyns in the world.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yes. Did she get a new account or something? Maybe. I don't know.
Huh?
Maybe she got a new account.
Maybe. Be ready to start the video at 6 p.m. That's a good reminder. Facebook sent me a reminder saying, remember to start at 6.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, 6:05.
Yeah, yeah. So, Jeffrey Dahmer and this last couple of weeks at work have been great learning experiences for me about remembering that it's not about them. It's about me.
Yes.
People come in, they're in bad moods, they've had their computer die or whatever the heck was going on in their world, and they need to take it out on somebody, right? Yeah. And because I'm the guy in the store, I can quite often be the guy they take it out on. And I have to practice and learn to realize that it's not about me, but it is about me.
And your reactions.
Huh?
And your reactions.
It is my reaction. Exactly right. And so what I've been able to do quite a bit here the last couple of weeks especially was to be more present in that exchange and see how I can cause a outcome, how I can create the outcome simply by how I treat them, because it's not about how they treat me. And the more I practice that, the more I become empowered. Mm-hmm. And it makes it even more fun because I can, look forward to seeing those people that are having a rough day and possibly turn that around for them. And if I don't, I don't. If I can't, I can't, right? But more times than not, I can have them walking out having a good experience, which to me is what I want and what I would think the store would want and what I believe the customer would want, right? Is to walk out of a shopping experience going, wow, that was really great. I had a great time in there. Well, I get to do that. And that's a choice, right? We always talk about we have choices. We can choose to be miserable or we can choose to be happy. It doesn't matter what's going on out here, right? It's just about what's going on in here. But it's so easy to forget that. And here's the other thing that's so easy to forget. It's already done. God has all this already laid out. The interactions with people, all of that is already predestined. And so, I love that saying that you can either go in an air-conditioned limo or you can go kicking and screaming, but either way, you're going to go. Yeah. So why not have fun? Why not, use that energy for something constructive? I watched a really interesting show yesterday. It was 60 Minutes. And it talked about the divisions that we have in our country now and how polarizing the whole thing is. The right hates the left and the left hates the right, and and all the name calling and all the divisiveness and all the stuff that's going on. And what they found was they took a group of like 6 people, 3 from the right and 3 from the left. And they had it all mixed with, young and old and brown and white and black. And so they had a real diverse group of people. And they had each group list all the things they hated about the other side. And they did that in separate rooms so that the other side didn't see what they wrote down. And then they got them together and they had them both look at the charts and see what the other side was thinking of them and vice versa, right? And it was fascinating on how when you really broke all that down, they realized they weren't all that different. But we get so wrapped up in all that anger. And we get all wrapped up in self-righteousness, right? That we know what's right and they don't, and we're right and they're wrong. And, it's the radical left and it's the radical right. And the problem is that where we really need to be is in the middle. one side never fixes anything. It takes both sides. And we can see that when government works together to actually solve a problem, both sides, Republican and Democrats, when they work together to solve an issue, we always get a better result than when it's, I'm not going to pass any legislation that they bring up. What about what's right for the country? What about what's right for your children? What about what's right for other people? And I know we're going to get back to that. This isn't the first time we've had all this divisiveness. I came from the Vietnam era, right? And we had great big fights in Chicago, and everybody hated each other, and and everybody thought, oh, this is the end of democracy. It's over now, But what it took was a bunch of people just venting and let go of that energy. And that's one of the great things I love about the work I do, is that it's all about energy. That's why we call it the positive energy hour, right? Because positive energy is sustainable. Negative energy isn't. So, if I can take somebody from being in a negative position in themselves and help turn them to a positive, that expands that positive energy even more. Whereas if they're come in and they're all negative, how many people want to crowd around that? How many people want to stay in that energy? Nobody, right? So who's got more ability to make change? Positive or negative?
Positive, for sure.
Positive, of course. You can't get a positive out of a negative, right? So no matter what's going on in our world, whether it's political or economic or climate or whatever, it isn't what's going on out there that's making you upset or me. It's me. I'm what makes me upset. Boy, I hate that when I have to remember that, right? It's like, oh man, yeah, Cheryl says it very well. Negative energy is too draining. Absolutely. You see it, right? It's like, oh my goodness, the hate. It's like, oh, jeez, who wants to be in that? And Melinda says, what I love is that you care to listen and understand. A lot of people are stuck in their way. Yeah, well, thank you for that, Melinda. And you're right. It's what I've learned for myself is that if I can shut down my beliefs for a minute and just listen to what the person has to say, I learn a lot too. It's just not what I teach, right? It's what I can, somebody will say something, I'll go, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love that, right? And God, I hadn't looked at it that way. And that's what's wrong now, is that there's too much yelling and not enough listening, right? In the world, in our homes.
Well, if you think about it, if we have such a strong opinion about something, how are we going to have any outlook on something different?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if my mind's thinking, this is the way it's supposed to be,
yeah,
how's anything supposed to get in there and teach me something different of how it might be different if I try it a different way?
That's right. That's right. And, I this week, I've been getting a lot of songs in my head that have themes to them, to things that have been going on for me. And one of them was a Sting song where he talks about, Mr. Khrushchev says he'll bury you. I don't agree with his point of view. I hope the Russians love their children too. Right? And it's amazing to me how the thirst for power and ego keep us from remembering that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you're white or brown or black or Asian or Hindu or Sikh or Catholic or Christian or whatever your religion is, whatever your views are, every other person in this world has someone they love and someone they care about, and they just want to raise their family and help their lives to be better, just like I do, just like you do. So if we could all just remember that the whole goal of this life, frankly, none of us are going to get out of this alive, right? So as parents, what we try to do as best we can, and I certainly had my failings in parental guidance and raising my family, was that I want the best for them. And I'm so honored to have a family that have all reached nice levels of success for themselves. And again, success is a personal thing, right? What's successful to you? And so many people are out striving for success, but they haven't defined what that is for them. Perhaps they've already accomplished it and they don't even realize it, right? So, anyway, I know it's a lot, but I hope the Russians love their children too. Then in 60 Minutes, they were showing all the devastation in where is it? Ukraine, yes. And the murdering of children and mothers, and people just riding their bike home from the store and they get shot in the head. I mean, what is that? I mean, I remember when the Chinese government was trying to stop protesters, and the Chinese stood in front of the tank and said, "Hey, I'm your brother. I'm your sister. What are you doing?" And they literally got out of the tanks and just stopped it. They weren't going to do that, right? Success. Melly's definition of success is waking up and having a cup of coffee. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the big things, does it? Huh? I love that. And yes, we all do like our coffee in the morning, right? So,
well, what a better question would be is, not just success. That's great too, but what do we hold value in?
yes.
What is so valuable to us, right? Like I have some friends that it's material things, right? And that's very important to them. And
Yeah.
I don't discredit anybody's values,
Right.
right? That they can value whatever they'd like. For me, it's, increasing my relationships, making those better, and in every area, right? The grocery store clerk, even, that's a relationship.
Yes.
And to be as present minded as I can be so I can enjoy each one of those relationships.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That brings up a good point, and that's something I wanted to mention tonight too, Nicole. Thanks. I have an assessment sheet that I've made, and I'm going to put it on the website this week, so you can look for it starting next week. All right. But there's an old saying that you can't get to where you want to go if you don't know where you're starting from.
Yeah.
And so with my counseling calls, my counseling clients, I have them do an assessment that kind of helps them to understand where they are in their own self. For me, many years ago, I had zero confidence. I had zero self-esteem. I I didn't think I did anything well. I didn't think I had any level of success in life whatsoever. I had no idea why God put me on this earth. And it was a very dark place I lived in, right? So I had to learn and grow and change. And today I get to smile all day long, no matter where I am or what I'm doing, because and Melinda is here too. Yay, Melinda! I got to see her today with her bright, smiling face. She really is a bundle of joy. She really is. Anyway, back to where I was coming from there. I had to do this kind of assessment myself, and I had to see where I was and then make changes to get myself to where I wanted to be. Because my point was that when you start to discover who you really are and you start to gain confidence in yourself, and one of the things I've discovered through asking a lot of questions to a lot of people verifies that saying I use all the time about the huddled masses live in quiet desperation, right? And I get to see it more true every day because I'm actually asking people about how they feel about themselves. And or actually what I do quite often is I'll share with them what I just said to you guys, that I at one time had absolutely no self-esteem whatsoever. And once I say that, they'll usually say, "Oh God, that's me too." And that shows me that people really do live in that quiet desperation. They sit in their head with all those negative thoughts and feelings, especially about themselves. And I know from the pain that I had living that way how horrible an existence it is. And all you're doing is getting up in the morning. For the ladies, they're putting on their makeup. For the guys, they're drinking a couple cups of coffee and trying to build up their courage to get out there and put on that face that they think they're hiding behind, or that they wish they had, right? Because inside they don't feel the same as they do outside, right? And one of the amazing things about this journey that you'll all discover as you go along, is that when you can get the inside to match the outside, oh man, it is so cool, right? You get to walk around with such a sense of freedom and happiness, and the understand. Once you've gone through all of that, it's not easy, right? It's hard changing that negative conception of yourself and the negative views of the world, because what you're feeling inside is what you're projecting outside. So you're going to see all the hate, you're going to see all the negative stuff, rather than seeing the joyousness that's out there if you just look for it, right? But when you make that shift and you get through all of that hard stuff, and by the way, I don't have it here on the table. Well, I got one right here. I always do, right? When you start wearing your whispers, you'll find it a lot easier to stay positive. I am telling you, if you don't have them and you don't wear them, you're gonna find it's hard. If you start wearing them, it's easy. If you don't wear them, it's hard. I know. Let's see what she's saying here. I'm struggling to feel the way I felt before pregnancy. I'm struggling just to get myself dressed. All right. Thank you for putting that out there. Thank you for that courage, because that's being vulnerable and is being open and honest, right? And that just expressing it takes some of the energy out of it. Mm-hmm. And we all know about postpartum depression, right? What'd you say, Nicole?
Postpartum depression.
Yeah, we both called it, right? So maybe it's time to talk to a doctor, right? Or you could just keep struggling. Either one's a choice, right? And you could wear your whisper too. Just a thought. I know. But I don't want to see you struggling, honey. Life is too short, right? You're a beautiful young lady who has done amazing, the journey you've put yourself through, and where you've come from with all of that. It's just amazing. And you deserve to feel good and happy and free. And if you can't feel that way on your own, then get some help. Okay. We're all here for you, and, we'll all get through it. Right. But thank you for sharing it. And again, yes, you never know who might be reading, who might be watching on on the broadcast, on the recording, and read that and go, "Oh my God, I understand that one," right? So remember that I love it when you guys post in the chat room, because again, you don't know who might be struggling with something that you share in here today, and make their world a better place. All right. And
Not
that's,
only that is we can't address something that we don't acknowledge, right?
yes,
Like I can say I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. But once I say I'm not okay, then all of a sudden it shifts to where it needs to go to solution, in my
right.
opinion.
Right.
Okay, so now what do we do, right? Where do we go from here?
Well, and it kind of goes to what we were just talking about, that mask that we wear outside, right? So nobody knows what's going on, right? And being authentic is, hey, I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time. I can't seem to get that back, right? That way I used to feel before
Mhm.
being pregnant, right? Well, and I share on our page here all the time about what the heck was that? About how much respect I have for you ladies, because us men have it easy, right? I mean, you ladies with the hormones and putting up with us men and the workaday world and childbirth. I mean, putting a bowling ball through a straw. I mean, that's a pretty serious issue, right? And the sleeplessness that you go through after you have the baby, and your whole thoughts are on the baby, it's not on you. And it's like, where do you get fed? Where do you get your nourishment, emotionally and physically and spiritually? I just have so much respect for all that you ladies go through. It's just amazing to me that you are able to do it. And then, as I say, on the other side of it, us men don't get to have some of the experiences you have that make being a woman a very special thing too, right? So there's both sides, right?
Give and take.
But yeah, please don't struggle too long, sweetheart. Okay. What's the saying, that pain is mandatory, suffering is optional, right? So let's not do suffering too long. All right. All right. That's enough of that.
So,
So
what was our exercise this week?
our exercise.
Yes.
What was our exercise? Did we have an exercise for this week?
Yeah, but for the life of me, I can't remember what it is.
Well, I know I mentioned watching 7 seconds, right?
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't remember that we had one. I remember the week before we had one about
Pause.
pausing, right? And
Yeah.
making and maybe I remember that Melinda mentioned last week having a boss that was kind of difficult to
Oh,
work with,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think we talked about how maybe we could just inject some positivity and just, kind of, because we don't know what's going on in her world.
Yes.
Remember? So what we talked about. And can we find a way? I find that sometimes just smiling at somebody makes a big difference. And she's still difficult to deal with. What makes her difficult to deal with?
Yeah, I think she also shared that she's going to be, I don't know if she shared it, so maybe I shouldn't share it.
Oops.
Mom privileges.
Yes, yes.
She,
Well, anyway, again, it's not about them, right? It's about us. I've complained to HR a handful of times. Okay. Well, first thing to understand is that HR really isn't about helping the employee. As much as they'll tell you it is, it ain't. They are looking out for the company's welfare. She's trying to get me fired. Well, okay. Well, and that brings me to another topic that, well, we kind of touched on this a little bit ago, but this makes it even stronger. That's for sure. So what I was going to say about
HR
that,
is looking out for the company, not the.
yes, that's right. It's exactly right. And when they tell you that their employees are their most important part of their companies, that ain't true. They're shareholders. If it's a public company, it's the shareholders. And if it's not a public company, it's the company making enough profit so that the boss is, succeeding. It isn't about whether you've got a roof over your head and whether you've got everything you need in your life. All right. So that's just the realities. And we have to get clear about that. And it's like one of the things I respect about all of the younger generations from my daughter on down is that when I was younger, and still to this day, I have to fight it. But the mindset that I had was that you go to work even if your leg is falling off. You go to work because that's what you have to do because the company needs you, don't you know? Right. And that's the way I was. That's the way I always did it. And today, younger generations look at the situation with clear eyes. And they see that the company will cut their hours in a heartbeat if that's what they feel they need to do. And they'll lay them off in a heartbeat if that's what they think they need to do. And they'll be all upset if you don't give them notice if you quit. Well, isn't that all kind of on one side of the ledger and nothing on the other side? But young kids today say, well, look, I'm living with my parents because I don't make enough money to be able to afford a house on my own. So if I'm living with my parents anyway, and they're treating me like garbage at work, screw them. And quite frankly, I don't blame them for feeling that way. You know, I have a belief that if you have a company in the United States, you owe it to your employees to make sure they are making a living wage for whatever region of the country they live in. People in Kentucky don't need as much money as people in California because the cost of living isn't as high, right? But everybody should make enough money. If you're working full time, you should be making enough money to put a roof over your head and food on the table and not have to worry day and night about whether you're going to be able to take care of your family. So, you know, and no, I could go on forever about this, but when is enough enough, right? I know a corporation that had the highest profits in their history, and they cut employees because they wanted to make sure the stockholders got a good dividend. Well, wonderful. And the people that actually made the money for them got their just rewards, right? So I applaud those of you who are younger generations who say, no, we're not going to buy that stuff anymore. You guys need to treat us better. And I think they're feeling the pain of it now. It's just like the immigration laws where they, you know, let's get rid of all the people coming in from Mexico. Well, those are the same people that picked your lettuce and did the dishes at the restaurant you went to and cooked in the restaurant for bad wages and bad working conditions. But that's what they did because that's what they do when they come over to this country, right? So now we don't have people that are cooks in restaurants and they're having to bust the tables themselves, and everybody's going, "What's the matter with these kids? They don't want to work." Gee, figure it out, right? Anyway, I'll get off the soapbox. But I'm just glad that kids are looking at it a little differently these days. Yep, they do. Quiet quitting. Do what they pay you for. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, that's really what they want. And, you know, as the old saying goes, if you don't like it, quit. But yeah, it's a tough world. It's a tough world. So let's decide that we're going to enjoy it no matter what.
Yes.
Right? Years ago, I had a guy say to me, look, if you don't like the job, why are you doing it? Quit. Go get another job. There's plenty of jobs out there. Find another one. Just don't be miserable. Life's too short, right? So you have two choices. One is you can stay in the situation you're in and develop a mental attitude for yourself that keeps you in a happy place. Well, you got three options. Or you can quit and go find a different job that makes you feel better. Or you can sit in it and complain. Three choices.
Attitude of gratitude.
Attitude of gratitude. That's right. And, you know, because, you know, I'm an Aries and I'm a little stubborn and I suffer from several. Yeah, you too. Same birthday, right?
Yes.
I suffer from a couple of isms. I suffer from alcoholism and from entrepreneurism. I think I've
And
talked about.
CRS, remember that one.
Oh yeah, CRS too. Yeah, see, can't remember shit. But so I don't take authority well, and I kind of resist every time somebody tries to tell me something, because don't you know, I already know, right? And so, working for a company when you've got 4 layers of bosses above you that are all in the store at the same time, I can cop an attitude if I don't pay attention, right? And so it's been another opportunity for me to recognize that it's all about me. It's not about them. They're doing their job. They're doing what they are supposed to be doing. And I can choose to either be pissy about it, or I can recognize and look for the pearl within that experience, right? What's the nugget in there for me? What can I gain from what they're attempting to do in whatever way it is, whether it's the right way or the wrong way or whatever? That's not important. What's important is how I look at it, how I can frame it in a way that's positive for me to get the most out of the experience. So I had that experience just this week with a boss that, he would say something to me when I'm in the middle of pulling materials together to make a sale, and he said, "No, did you do this, and did you do that, and did you do this, and did you do that?" And I'm thinking, I'm in the middle of doing the sale. This isn't the time to ask me about that, right? And I'm getting a little pissy. And then I stopped and I thought, wait a minute. His point is correct. Timing might be off, but his point's correct, right? So the fact that I took the time to rethink it rather than just staying stuck in that, when I was in the negative thing about it, it wasn't hurting him a bit, was it? He probably didn't even know, or I think he might have known the second time, because I got a little more voiceful about it. And we had a talk about it. And I said, okay, I get your point. And when he explained what he was trying to accomplish, I said, yeah, okay, I can get that. Again, timing maybe could have been better, right? But we're all doing the best we can. So again, it's, what can we do to make the situation better? Even with Melinda's boss, what can you do to make that situation better? If there's nothing you can do to make it better, then just do the best you can, right? And Cheryl said here, it was easier to quit and go get another job back in the day. It's not so easy nowadays. I suppose, I don't know, because unfortunately, in much of the area we live in, everything is retail. Huh?
Oh, Melinda just said she'll request for a transfer.
Yeah, you have a lot of departments and stuff in that company, I think, don't you? Anyway, I don't know about about getting a job is harder today. I don't know. I don't know what all is out there for different positions. In my case, about the only thing that's been available has been retail, and retail's retail. But and then Melinda said that yes, she could request a transfer. Well, there's a possibility, right? So there's always options, and we always have to look at what's in our best interest, which is, again, one of the things I really respect about younger generations, is they're more willing to say, hey, I deserve better than that, right? I deserve better. And if we don't think we deserve better, we probably won't get better, right? So hang in there, Melinda. Better days are ahead. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about, is that remembering that no matter what we're going through, it's temporary.
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Sometimes like a kidney stone, but
it'll pass.
Too shall pass, right?
And but that's true with the good and the bad. So even in good times, it's not forever. So enjoy it while it's here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ouch.
A kidney stone, yes.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's like gallstones, I guess, right? What is that, the one that a lot of men go through, gallstones? I don't
Kidney
know.
stones.
Fortunately, I haven't had to have any of them.
No,
I
I hear
haven't had
it's
any of them.
painful, like having birth. So
Wouldn't know about that one either. Although I have gotten to see people have birth and go through quite a bit of pain, right? But yes, so again, the reason I love women so much. All right, so let's talk about what can we do this next week that'll help us go up another notch in our growth process. Let's go back to that. I get off topic so often, right? There's just so many fun things. But about the what was that test I was talking about that I created to help
assessment.
Assessment, yes, the assessment. So what we'll do with the assessment is I'll have it on the website, maybe tomorrow, but soon. All right. And what I would love for you all to do is to take the assessment and keep a copy of it. You'll get a copy for yourself, and I'll have a copy on my side. And it kind of helps us to see where you're at in your confidence, in your self-esteem, where you might be able to make some growth, what areas perhaps you need the most help in to get you to where you feel really good about yourself, right? And I remember years ago they would talk about the circle of yourself. And if any area is less than the rest of it, then can you imagine that wheel trying to go smoothly down the road? It can't, right? It's got that oblong kind of thing going on, or whatever the case is. And so you never really get to have that really strong feeling inside yourself if you've got an area of your life that is depleted much more than the rest of it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Right? So what we want to hit on all cylinders. You know, it's kind of like a baseball team. My Dodgers got kicked out of the playoffs this week by the Padres.
Should have gone with the Angels.
Where did they end up?
I don't know, but they're better.
But you know, it's when you're hitting on all cylinders, life is really cool, right? Now, none of us are hitting on all cylinders all the time, but we can definitely get those numbers up more and make the ride smoother, right? And more enjoyable. So I encourage everybody to take the assessment. I'll also have another box on the website, probably about the same time, where you can book a 20-minute free consultation where we can take the Dodgers just got more practice games. Oh, that's cold. Yeah. All right. Well, we can take that assessment, talk about it together, see if there's some areas that we can work on together that maybe pull that number higher for yourself so you can feel better about yourself and your life. And Patty and Wally are there. Hey, hi guys. Welcome aboard. We were talking about the personal assessment that I'm going to have on the website this next week that you know, we talk on here all the time. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm doing this for Patty and Wally. And about the fact that we can't get to where we want to go if we don't know where we are. So the assessment that I put out that I'll have on the website this next week is a personal assessment for you to kind of gauge where you are in your own development. What areas in your life maybe you'd like to make some changes in, that maybe we can talk together about and see what we can do to get you feeling even better about those spots. All right. And it kind of goes back. We started this because of the saying that I use often about the Walt Whitman saying about the huddled masses live in quiet desperation. And most of us walk around with our game faces on, like everything's wonderful and we're all great. You know, yeah, right. That one there. We even see it on commercials where they're selling antidepressant pills and they've got the woman that's got the mask in front of her that she's walking around with. That everything's good, but really the antidepressant medication has helped, but she's still not feeling very happy with life, right? And yet most of us don't talk about those things because that's just the way life was, right? I remember when I was going through the toughest of times for me, and I went to a psychiatrist and was talking with them, and on the way home, my dad's talking with me, and he says, well, we've always had some family issues, and I always felt like we probably should have gone to a family therapist years ago, but I don't remember whether that was mom or him or which one or all, who knows, right? Doesn't matter really. But he recognized that there were challenges within the family that we probably could have done things about. So my encouragement for each of you is, don't be one of those huddled masses. There's far more people that live that way than live happy, joyous, and free. And I used to be one in the huddled masses. So I know what that feels like. And I don't live there anymore. I moved. And I can tell you that this way feels a heck of a lot better than the other way. All right. So next week I'll have that. It'll be a box that you click on, and you'll put your name and email address and phone number in there. And then there'll be one where you can put in for scheduled time for 20 minutes where we can get together and talk. And this is true for whether you're on the call today or whether you're watching a recording. You can go to my website. In fact, let me put the banners up now. You can go to the website. Where is it? There we go. There's the website, justwhisper.net. And you'll be able to find those boxes on there starting next week, maybe this week, I'll see. There's also the Mind Whispering channel. It's the Mind Whispering YouTube channel. And then my email is here, Dan at justwhisper.net. And of course, if you're watching this on recording, the great thing is you can hit pause and you can write down this information for yourself, right? And then my phone number, you're always welcome to call me. I may not be able to get to the phone immediately, but I will always answer your calls. All right. And let's resolve that this is the last year that we live in quiet desperation. I'm as old as dirt now. And I know I have far fewer years ahead of me than I have behind me. And the more that balance sheet goes that way, where you've got less time ahead than you do behind you, the more you appreciate every day more than you ever did before. And so, as the old great grandpa, let me just say that do your best to enjoy every moment, no matter what is going on around you, no matter how bad your boss might be, no matter how much your husband may be, acting like an idiot, or or whatever's going on in your world. Do what you can to stay positive for yourself, because that has more of an impact on your people and on the world than you can possibly imagine. And you'll be amazed at how much you get from it. I say all the time, and I've said it on here and I'll say it again, life isn't what you get from it. It's what you give to it. It's how much of a difference you make in other people's lives that really gives you it's what I call soul food, right? It feeds the soul. Maybe it doesn't put food on your table that minute, but it does in the long run. And again, just to make that point, I got to have dinner with Nicole and Garrett, her husband, on the company I work for, because they gave me a gift certificate for the impact I have on the store and on their clients with my positivity. How cool is that, right? It was a fun dinner, wasn't it? We had a good time on the company. I like that even better. Yeah. So that's, let's make that the assignment for the week. Let's make the assignment be being aware of a situation that happened in your week where the fact that you were up and positive impacted those around you. That was an amazing experience for me when I was growing, right? When I was getting out of my old ways, was because I thought I was really, really ugly. And, you know, I'm no Robert Redford, right? But I'm okay. But I thought I was really ugly, and that the mere presence of me offended women, and it was just that dark, dark place. And what I realized coming out of it was I was just so self-consumed. It was all about me. It had nothing to do with you guys. I didn't have enough time to think about you, because all I was thinking about was how miserable I was, and why weren't people being nice to me, and why wasn't I getting the breaks, and all that kind of stuff, right? And then when I decided that I needed to really start changing some things, I practiced just giving compliments to people. And it was really scary for me at first, because I was so afraid of just interacting with people, because I thought for sure I'd offend them just by my mere presence, right? And so I would say to somebody, gosh, you have a really nice smile. And, I'd be afraid of how they were going to react. Are they going to think I'm trying to, do something to them or with them, or what would their reaction be? And I had to understand that I had to do it the right way for the right reason. If I was doing it just to give them a compliment, to make them feel better, then my actions were pure and it was all good, right? And it took a while for me to get used to that. And it took a while for me to recognize that if I said hi to somebody that was walking by and they didn't respond to me, because I had no self-esteem, I took that personal. And I'd be all upset that, gosh, I must have offended them and I didn't even know it, right? Oh, God, it was exhausting. But slowly and slowly, I got to understand that there was real power in a smile. There's real power in caring about other people. And that's really the real power, right? We talked about that earlier, right? About, politicians and people wanting wealth. They all want that power, right? But the real power comes from what you give,
with no expectations.
With no expectations.
Yes.
Absolutely right. And when I developed the spiritual side of my life and brought God into my world, I got to understand that I couldn't outgive God.
That's right.
Right? But boy, it sure is fun trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not about money. Perhaps one of the regrets, probably regrets that I have about the way I focused my life through my years, was I never really gave a lot of importance to money. Which is probably why I don't have a lot of it, right? But it never was important to me. It was more about how was I responding to people? How was I treating people? How could I be of service, right? And what I found was that I really lived a much happier life than those that were just struggling to make a lot of money. For the most part, they're not real happy people, right? So we have to have enough, right? We got to take care of the rent. We got to take care of food or rent or a house payment, whatever the case might be. Got to have money to take care of the kids. Got to have money. We have to have money in this world. It's a material world we live in. But the easier way to get what you want is by giving more and not worrying so much about what you receive. So this week, give more smiles, okay? And see what happens. See, you'll be amazed. I remember I went to let me get to the comments here. It looks like we got a bunch of comments that I missed. Excuse me. I went to a seminar, and the guy that led it it's Joel T. Harv Eker is the guy's name. And he started the workshop off with saying, here's my challenge to you for the week. See how long you can go without complaining about anything. And it really gets you to realize just how much you complain, right? It's like, boss, and the boss, oh, my husband, oh, my wife, rather than just being in that attitude of gratitude that we all have the ability to grow, right? So we got a bunch of sayings. We're going to get to them real quick because we got 5 minutes to go. Patty said hi, and Wally and Patty are here, and Melinda's here, and Melly's here, and we got the positive hour, positive energy, yay, positive thinking, absolutely. Your mind is your friend, and it should be your friend, but you have to make it your friend because most of us didn't train our minds, right? So before we knew it, our mind was our enemy, but it shouldn't be. God gave us a mind to be our servant, to help us get through this life and create the kind of life we want to have. And there, Molly says, be kind to yourself. Yes. The kinder you are to yourself, you'll start to notice that you're kinder to others. And believe it or not, it tends to make people kinder to you. Just this last week, I had a woman walk up to me at the store and say, oh my God, it's so nice to see somebody who's truly happy. And again, I thought, gee, that's really nice, but it really kind of sad too, right? That being happy is kind of stands out in a crowd, right? You're not alone and you matter. Absolutely. Absolutely. We talk about the thought police, right? There is no thought police. You're allowed to think whatever you want. So why not think positive, especially about yourself? You're a child of God, for God's sakes. How better a pedigree can you have than that? I've had an expression that you shouldn't fight over money if you don't have any. Yes. And there's another one, Patty. If what you have right now isn't enough, how do you think getting more will make things any different? Well, actually, I think the saying is, if you're not happy with what you have now, why would you think that getting more will make you any happier? So, it's about just plain being happy, right? No matter what's going on, be happy. Now, does that mean you don't have bad times? No. Does it mean you don't have children and suffer depression afterwards? No. Does it mean that if someone dies in your life, you're not sad for a bit? Absolutely not. Of course you are, right? But let's go for short-term suffering. I'm a feel-good junkie. I love to feel good, right? And that's why I drank and did drugs and chased women, because I loved all that stuff, right? But what I got to realize was that the feel-good was really an inside thing, not an outside thing. And can you tell me what that means? That's a Lion King saying, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna.
Huh?
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata. So we're up to the top of the hour. We did it, Nicole. We got in 6 minutes. I mean, we put in 58 minutes so far, and we're not quite done yet. So
it means I'm no worries
glad,
for the rest of your days.
Yes. Be happy. Remember that guy that did that song?
Don't worry, be happy.
Don't worry, be happy. I think he, that made his career for him, right? He got to live an abundant life the rest of his life just for singing Be Happy.
Yep.
So spread a little happiness, even to the boss that treats you bad and tries to get you fired. Just practice forgiveness. Be happy. Share a smile. Let people know you care. And you'll be amazed at how different your life will feel. And if you don't know how to love yourself yet, remember that we already do. and we're just waiting for you to catch up. All right. So have a great week. We'll see you all next Monday at the Positive Power Hour, and go out smiling, everybody. See you
Yes.
next week.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.